The Undari Federation had long studied the cosmos, cataloging hundreds of species and civilizations. As a spacefaring empire spanning thousands of light years, they believed they were invincible. When their sensors picked up signals from the Sol system, they detected a planet teeming with life, Earth. To the Undari, humans appeared to be a young, technologically inferior species. Admiral Kira Rizal saw an opportunity for easy expansion and a new addition to their ever-growing empire. The Undari sent a diplomatic envoy to establish contact and negotiate Earth's peaceful surrender. As the massive Undari ship, the Harbinger, approached Earth's orbit, its presence caused widespread panic. Governments worldwide convened emergency meetings, and the United Nations quickly assembled a fleet to intercept the alien vessel. Captain James Mitchell of the UNS Resolute, a seasoned veteran of space exploration and defense, led the fleet. "They're hailing us," his communications officer reported. Mitchell's heart pounded as he watched the holographic projection of the alien ship on his bridge's main screen. "Let's hear what they have to say," he ordered. The Undari envoy appeared on the screen, an imposing figure with blue skin and elongated limbs. "Greetings, inhabitants of Earth. I am Ambassador Threx of the Undari Federation. We come in peace but demand your immediate surrender and integration into our empire." Mitchell's eyes narrowed. "This is Captain James Mitchell of the United Nations Space Command. We do not surrender. Leave our space immediately, or we will defend our planet." The envoy's expression darkened. "You misunderstand, Captain. This is not a request. It is a command." The transmission ended abruptly and tension filled the bridge. "Red alert," Mitchell commanded. "All hands to battle stations." The first shots were fired, and the clash marked the beginning of a conflict that would shake the galaxy. The initial skirmish left both sides reeling. The Undari, confident in their technological superiority, were shocked by the ferocity of the human response. Their energy shields held, but the unexpected resistance gave them pause. Back on Earth, leaders scrambled to understand the nature of their new enemy and prepare for what seemed like an inevitable war. In a secure bunker beneath the Pentagon, the President of the United States addressed the Global Council via secure video link. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are at war with an alien species. Our initial engagement shows that they are technologically advanced, but we cannot let fear guide us. We must unite and defend our home." Humanity responded with unprecedented unity. Nations set aside their differences, pooling resources and technology to bolster their defenses. The global scientific community worked around the clock to analyze captured Undari technology, seeking weaknesses and developing countermeasures. In orbit, the Undari fleet regrouped. Admiral Kira Rizal convened her war council. "These humans are more resilient than anticipated," she admitted. "We must prepare for a larger engagement, dispatch reinforcements, and prepare for full-scale invasion." As the Undari prepared for war, humanity did the same. Factories were repurposed for war production, and spaceports became hubs of military activity. The unified human fleet, an amalgamation of cultures and ingenuity, began to take shape. Captain Mitchell and his crew trained tirelessly, preparing for the battles to come. The Undari believed they were dealing with a primitive species, but they would soon learn a brutal truth about humanity. When pushed to the brink, humans would fight with a tenacity and creativity that defied all expectations. The Undari reinforcements arrived in the Sol system, doubling the size of their fleet. Admiral Rizal issued a final ultimatum to Earth, but humanity's response was resolute. They would not bow to an invader. The stage was set for a larger confrontation. The battle lines were drawn at the edge of the solar system. The Undari fleet, with its sleek advanced ships, moved into position. Human ships, a mix of old and new technology, formed a defensive perimeter around Earth. The tension was palpable as both sides prepared for the clash. In the command center of the UNS Resolute, Captain Mitchell reviewed the battle plan with his officers. "We know they have superior technology, but we have the element of surprise and adaptability. Use every trick we've learned. This is our home, and we will defend it." The Undari fleet advanced, their energy weapons charging. The first volley lit up the darkness of space, and the human ships responded with a barrage of missiles and railgun fire. The battle raged, and human commanders like Admiral Sarah Ung leveraged guerrilla tactics and unconventional warfare to offset the technological gap. Andari ships, designed for precision and efficiency, were caught off guard by the chaotic and unpredictable maneuvers of the human fleet. Human pilots, using their intimate knowledge of their home system, exploited every asteroid and moon for cover. The Andari's initial confidence began to waver as they faced an enemy that fought with a determination they had never encountered. In the heat of battle, Captain Mitchell's ship took a direct hit, causing a hull breach. "Damage control teams, seal that breach," he ordered, his voice calm despite the chaos. The crew worked with practiced efficiency, their resolve unshaken. On the Andari flagship, Admiral Arzal watched the battle unfold with a mixture of frustration and admiration. "These humans fight like cornered animals," she muttered. "We need to adapt our strategy." But adapting was easier said than done. The Andari were not used to facing an enemy that refused to follow predictable patterns. The battle in Orion's belt became a grueling test of endurance and willpower. Both sides suffered heavy losses, but humanity's indomitable spirit began to shine through. The Battle of Orion's belt was a turning point in the war. The Andari, with their superior technology and disciplined tactics, had expected a swift victory. Instead, they found themselves locked in a brutal and protracted conflict. Human resilience and adaptability became their greatest weapons. Admiral Sarah Ung, commanding the human fleet, orchestrated a series of daring raids and ambushes that kept the Andari off balance. She knew that in a head-to-head confrontation, the Andari would likely prevail, so she relied on hit-and-run tactics, exploiting the natural hazards of Orion's belt to her advantage. In one particularly bold maneuver, a squadron of human fighters led by Lieutenant Commander David Riley navigated through an asteroid field to flank an Andari destroyer. "Stay close and follow my lead," Riley instructed his pilots. They weaved through the treacherous terrain, using the asteroids as cover, and unleashed a devastating barrage on the unsuspecting Andari ship. The Andari destroyer exploded in a brilliant flash of light, and Riley's squadron quickly retreated before reinforcements could arrive. "That's one for the history books," Riley said, his voice filled with pride. Admiral Arzal, observing the battle from her flagship, realized that the humans were more formidable than she had anticipated. "We need to rethink our approach," she told her officers. "Their unconventional tactics are making our strategies ineffective." Humanity's ability to adapt on the fly, coupled with their tenacity, began to turn the tide of the battle. The Andari, despite their advanced technology, found themselves struggling to maintain control. The Battle of Orion's belt became a symbol of human defiance and ingenuity. With their momentum building, humanity decided to take the fight to the Andari's home territory. The siege of Andari Prime was a bold and risky move, but one that could potentially end the war. The human fleet, now a well-coordinated and battle-hardened force, set course for the Andari homeworld. Andari Prime, the jewel of the Andari Federation, was a planet of towering spires and advanced technology. The Andari had never faced an invasion on their home soil, and the prospect of human forces breaching their defenses sent shockwaves through their society. Commander Roderick Alvarez, leading the ground assault, addressed his troops as they prepared to land. "This is it, people. We're taking the fight to their doorstep. Remember why we're here. For Earth, for humanity. Let's show them what we're made of." The initial landings were met with fierce resistance. Andari soldiers, trained and equipped with the latest technology, defended their home with everything they had. The human forces, though outmatched in technology, fought with unparalleled determination. Urban warfare raged in the streets of Andari Prime's capital, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The skies above the planet were filled with human warships, enforcing a blockade that prevented any Andari reinforcements from reaching the surface. The Andari Council, once confident in their superiority, now faced the grim reality of a prolonged siege. Food and medical supplies began to dwindle, and the morale of the Andari people plummeted. In the midst of the chaos, a resistance movement began to form. Andari civilians, inspired by humanity's resilience and their own desire for freedom, started to question their leaders. Underground movements worked to sabotage the Andari military efforts, providing crucial intelligence to the human forces. Commander Alvarez and his troops pushed forward, securing key positions throughout the city. The tide was turning, but the cost was high. The siege of Andari Prime was a brutal and bloody affair, testing the limits of both sides. As the siege dragged on, the resistance within Andari Prime grew stronger. The Andari civilians, disillusioned with their government's inability to protect them, began to rise up. The human forces, recognizing an opportunity, established contact with the resistance leaders. Lieutenant Maya Singh, an expert in covert operations, was tasked with coordinating efforts between the human military and the Andari resistance. She met with Arak, a prominent resistance leader, in a hidden underground bunker. "We share a common enemy," Singh said, extending a hand. "Together we can end this war." Arak, a former Andari military officer turned rebel, clasped her hand firmly. "We've seen what your people are capable of. We're ready to fight." The resistance movement began to disrupt Andari supply lines and communication networks. Sabotage operations targeted key military installations, weakening the Andari's ability to defend their capital. The human forces, with the support of the resistance, gained ground steadily. In the Andari council chambers, panic and discord reigned. "We're losing control," one counselor exclaimed. "The people are turning against us." Admiral Arzal, now faced with both external and internal threats, struggled to maintain order. "We must regain the support of our people," she urged. "Offer amnesty to the resistance and negotiate a truce with the humans." But it was too late. The resistance, emboldened by their successes, had no intention of backing down. And the human forces, now deeply entrenched, were preparing for the final assault. A daring raid by a human special forces unit marked a significant turning point in the conflict. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Donovan led his team on a mission to capture the Andari Federation's primary military command center. The objective was clear: obtain vital intelligence that could cripple the Andari's ability to wage war. Under the cover of night, Donovan's team infiltrated the heavily guarded facility. Using stealth and precision, they bypassed security measures and neutralized guards. "We're in," Donovan whispered into his communicator, proceeding to the main control room. The team encountered fierce resistance as they approached their target. Donovan, leading from the front, coordinated the assault with tactical precision. "Breach and clear," he commanded, and his soldiers moved with practiced efficiency. In the control room, they accessed the Andari databases, downloading critical information about troop movements, supply routes, and defense protocols. "We've got what we came for," Donovan said. "Let's get out of here." The team exfiltrated under heavy fire, but their mission was a success. The intelligence they obtained provided humanity with a significant advantage. The human leaders broadcast messages to the Andari people, urging them to rise against their oppressors. This psychological warfare caused a rift within the Andari ranks, further tipping the scales in humanity's favor. The Andari military, now struggling with internal dissent and the growing resistance movement, found it increasingly difficult to maintain their defenses. The captured intelligence allowed human commanders to plan coordinated strikes that crippled Andari supply lines and disrupted their command structure. The turning point had been reached. Humanity, once seen as the underdog, was now on the offensive. The Andari Federation, once a symbol of unchallenged power, was crumbling from within. The final assault on Andari Prime was a meticulously planned operation. Human forces, now bolstered by the Andari resistance, launched a coordinated attack on the capital city. General Marcus Hale, a decorated war hero, led the charge. "Today, we end this war," Hale declared to his troops. "For Earth, for our fallen, let's bring this nightmare to a close." The assault began with a massive orbital bombardment, targeting key Andari military installations. The skies above Andari Prime lit up with explosions as human ships unleashed their firepower. On the ground, human and resistance forces moved in, engaging in fierce urban combat. Andari soldiers, demoralized and outnumbered, offered only token resistance. The capital city's once imposing spires were reduced to rubble as the human advance pressed forward. General Hale's forces stormed the Andari council chambers, capturing the remaining leaders. Admiral Arzal, realizing the futility of further resistance, surrendered. "We have underestimated you," she admitted. "Your tenacity and spirit are unmatched." The fall of Andari Prime marked the end of the war. Humanity had emerged victorious, but the cost had been high. The city lay in ruins, and both sides had suffered immense losses. The once mighty Andari Federation was now a shadow of its former self, its leadership in disarray and its people facing an uncertain future. The end of the war left a power vacuum in the Andari sectors. Humanity, though victorious, faced the challenge of rebuilding and integrating the conquered worlds. Human diplomats like Ambassador Naomi Clark worked tirelessly to establish new governments and foster peaceful relations. Clark stood before a gathering of Andari leaders and civilians. "We are not here to conquer, but to help rebuild," she said. "Together, we can create a future of peace and cooperation." Reconstruction efforts began in earnest. Human engineers and Andari workers collaborated to rebuild the shattered infrastructure. Medical teams treated the wounded, and food supplies were distributed to those in need. The once divided Andari society began to heal, united by a common goal of recovery. Humanity's victory was not just a military triumph, but a demonstration of their capacity for compassion and cooperation. The Andari people, initially resentful of their defeat, gradually came to see the humans as allies rather than conquerors. Joint projects in science, technology, and culture flourished, paving the way for a new era of interstellar collaboration. In the halls of the new Andari government, former resistance leader Arak, now a prominent political figure, addressed the assembly. "We have learned that true strength lies not in domination, but in unity. Together with our human allies, we will build a brighter future for all." Years later, the leaders of humanity and the Andari gathered to reflect on the conflict that had changed their civilizations forever. The brutal truth about going to war with humans was laid bare. Humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or numbers, but their indomitable will to survive and adapt. In a grand hall on Earth, a commemorative ceremony was held. Representatives from both species spoke of the lessons learned and the bonds forged through adversity. General Marcus Hale, now retired, recounted the battles and sacrifices made. "We fought not just for victory, but for a future where such a war would never be necessary again." Admiral Arzal, now a respected diplomat, shared her perspective. "We underestimated humanity, and it was a costly mistake. But from that conflict, we have gained allies and friends. Together, we have become stronger." The story of the human Andari War became a legend, a testament to the resilience and tenacity of humanity. The galaxy watched as former enemies became allies, working together to explore the stars and ensure such a devastating war would never happen again. The ceremony concluded with a message of hope. "Let this be a reminder to all," Ambassador Clark said, "that even in the darkest times, the spirit of cooperation and understanding can prevail. The war showed us the worst of what we can do, but it also revealed the best of what we can become." The lesson was clear to all who heard it. Never underestimate the spirit of humans, for they would fight against all odds and emerge stronger than before.